Hello, everyone. My name is Luke Langner, and I am your Region R Leadership Development Coordinator, and I am here to talk about conferences, Conclave, and PORQ. Oh my. So to get started, what are conferences? Conferences, in short, are large-scale, regularly occurring inter-chapter events. They generally feature a variety of different leadership, fellowship, and service events. And we'll get a little bit more into that in a bit. Conferences can occur on the section, region, and nation level. And then on the section level in particular, there are a couple of different types of conferences you'll see. You'll see area conferences and LD conferences. We'll get into the details of all of this throughout the presentation. So how do conferences work? The way that conferences work varies a little bit depending upon the scope of the conference, right? So each different level of the conference has a different methodology behind it, but we'll go in order. So starting on our section level conferences, often called local conferences, these are generally day-long events. So they'll usually occur on a Saturday, for example, on a day that a lot of people would be able to attend. And they're hosted by a chapter in the section in which the event is taking place. So, for example, if we're talking about a conference being hosted down in section P3, it might be hosted by the New Jersey Institute of Technology. They're a P3 chapter, and thus they would host a P3 sectionals. When you get up to the region level, you're looking at a little bit longer of a conference. They're generally a weekend long, Friday through Sunday. They're hosted by, again, a chapter in the region that the conference is being held for. So down in, again, we'll use Region P as an example, and JIT could also host a region level conference because they are a school within Region P. Now, the conference itself, the actual location is sometimes either at the school itself, sometimes at an external site. Like, for example, in 2019, the conference for the Northeast regions was held at a hotel. So that can vary a little bit. And then on the topic of hotels, for weekend-long conferences, the hotels are generally coordinated by the hosts, and room blocks are sent out for everybody to be able to stay in the same place and add to the fun of the conference. And then finally, at the highest level, you have nation-level conferences. Now, these are 4-day-long conferences hosted by a national committee, and they're always hosted at some sort of external site, some sort of hotel or other event venue somewhere in the country, and this location rotates across the U.S., so it'll cater to brothers in different locations, really large-scale stuff, really exciting. Now, to work through each of these, we're going to work top-down. So our national level conference for APO is called the National Convention. Who does this involve? It involves everybody within Alpha Phi Omega. This is current active brothers, this is alumni, this is advisors, this is really anybody who's got a vested interest in APO. It is open to one and all. And now you may be saying, hey, we call it a national conference, but isn't APO international? And you are correct. At national conferences, you'll often see delegations from our chapters in Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and Canada attending our national conference. It's super cool, super exciting, and a really engaging opportunity. Like I said before, the National Convention rotates between 4 conference areas in the U.S. It will generally go from the Northeast down to the South, out West, and then up to the Midwest. And it'll rotate through there to make sure that brothers every so often will have a national conference that's a little bit closer to home for them. The National Convention will always occur between December 26th and 30th in an odd year. So the year is currently 2022. We don't have a Nationals this year, but we will in 2023, and then we will again in 2025 for our centennial, which is super awesome. And how this conference is put together by a national committee of students and alumni. That is a huge group of people led by a national chair and a student chair that are working together to put on a super immense project. Really awesome and impressive stuff going on with that planning process. Next, we have our regional conference. You may hear it referred to as regionals, or up in the Northeast, you'll hear it referred to as PORQ, P-O-R-Q, like you see on the top of the screen. So this situation in particular is specific to regions O, P, Q, and R. And that is because historically, these 4 regions, in whatever way, shape, or form they've taken, have conference together. We've got a lot of common people, a lot of close chapters, so it's a lot of fun for us all to be able to hold our region-level conference, quote-unquote, together. So that is our who. Our where, Similar to nationals, this conference rotates between those 4 regions. So 2 regionals ago was in P, last one was in Q, the next one's in R, and so on and so forth. This conference falls on alternating years with nationals, so it falls in the fall semester in even years. It's generally somewhere around the middle of the fall semester, October or November-ish. And again, that way we alternate between our regional conferences in even years and our national conferences in odd years. And then similarly, this is so the regional conference is hosted by a chapter committee with alumni support. So you'll have a group of students from a chapter within the hosting region that will work with strong alumni support to get this conference going. Now, note again that this is specific to regions O, P, Q, and R. Some regions may host their own individual conference. Others may do something combined like we do. It all depends on the region. For our sectional conference, now up in region R, we run our sectional conference a little specially, and we call it Conclave. So since our regional conference is something that we do together with regions O, P, Q, and R, our sectional conference is something that we host between all of the sections in region R. So that's sections R1, R2, and R3. And similar to nationals and regionals, the sectional conference hosting goes where? Between all the different chapters in region R. It sometimes operates on a turn basis between R1, R2, and R3, but really whoever's excited and wants to host will likely have the opportunity to do so. This conclave occurs in the spring semester every year. So contrary to regionals and nationals, sectionals or conclave is an annual thing. Every spring, generally around April, this will occur. Now, I've added LD Day there on the side in red. So, like I mentioned before, on the section or local level, you'll have the sectionals, your conclave, your area conference in the spring, and you'll also have an LD Day in the fall. So, like I said before, conferences are generally focused on LFS events. LD Day, which stands for Leadership Development Day, is a particularly leadership-focused conference that focuses really on students teaching other students about leadership and personal development. This falls generally in the fall semester, and the schedule of that is really up to each of the sections to determine on their own. There's a little bit less structure to that, whereas sectionals or conclave happens every spring semester, and it happens for all the sections in Region R together. Either way, how do these conferences occur? Again, you'll have a host chapter committee within the area that will work with some alumni support to put together this awesome conference for a little bit more of a local audience. Again, this conferencing format is specific to Region R, so other regions might do something a little bit different than we do, but this is how we run our conclave, our section level conference. Other conference notes, like your chapters, at your chapter meetings, you have business. At conferences, we have business meetings. So there's an opportunity for this at every conference, and you'll see national level, regional level, and sectional level business. So at the national level, you have what's called a legislative session, which lasts for potentially a couple of days, running through a lot of high-level stuff, elections, that sort of thing. Region and sectional level, you'll see similar sort of things where you'll go through some finances, any policy changes, and elect your section and region chairs. Now, this is all done by the chapters electing voting delegates. Each chapter gets 2 delegates who will be the voice and vote of the chapter at this conference. Really great leadership opportunity and really awesome way to see the back end of business on all of these different levels. Additionally, conferences, like chapters, have awards. There are awards given out at each conference on the national, regional, and sectional levels. There's an awards committee that is decided at the conference that consists of one student representative from each chapter present at the conference, and they're the ones who vote on the awards. Awards are available for students, chapters, and alumni. So in one way, shape, or form, there's an awesome way for you to get recognized for the hard work you do for APO and to flaunt your stuff. Submissions are open prior to the conference for people to submit, either for themselves, their chapter, or for other people. It's really a really awesome way to recognize others and to reward them for their accomplishments. So definitely recommend checking that out and submitting awards applications whenever you see them. The host organization, whether it be a chapter or a committee, can also create some conference-specific awards if they like. And a note that not a lot of people know is that similar to a chapter, there is a distinguished service key that exists on the section, region, and national levels. So the Distinguished Service Key is the highest award that a chapter can give to one of its members. And similarly, it is the highest award that can be given to a member of APO on the section, region, or national level for their contribution at that level. Really cool, and just something to keep in mind. Conference planning. So if you're interested in planning a conference, you can submit a bid before the conference with options for the date and location, theme, food, lodging, event ideas, and cost. Get your chapter to agree, get some co-chairs or a chair from your chapter to step up and lead the effort, and you can submit a bid to be voted on to be the host of the next conference. A committee style approach is recommended. The more people you get involved, the better it'll be. The timeline, generally 6 months to 1 year for planning section level conferences is appropriate. And for the region or national level conferences, you look at 1 to 2 years to really get that stuff together. You'll look at different leadership, fellowship, and service events from all different areas, and you'll get participation from students and alumni alike, both as presenters and participants, which is awesome. It's really important to consider room bookings wherever, if you're working on campus or elsewhere. That's an important note when making your schedule. Parking and transportation to the venue is critical. And food, whether it's a day-long or weekend-long conference, that's also something that a lot of people overlook. Finally, here's the 2022 PORQ conference information. It's Friday, November 4th to Sunday, November 6th at the University of Connecticut. Special thanks to the Delta Sigma chapter for hosting. It's our first in-person conference since 2019, and the theme is One Theme, One Goal, bringing us all back together to the APO that we know and love. The cost is $55 per attendee, including a banquet and meal at Dave & Buster's with a game card, and the opportunity to take the Explore Leads course. Registration closes this Sunday. Use the QR code on the side there to register. Check out the Facebook page and Instagram page on the bottom. Leave that up there for a second. And then finally, thank you. My name is Luke Langner. Feel free to hit me up with any conference-related questions and thoughts you may have, and I hope that this was informational for you.